Good morning, children. Let's recapitulate yesterday's topics. Yesterday we have seen about the pathway of air travel and we have seen about the structure of lungs, and in detail we have seen about the structure of alveoli. So the alveoli plays a major role in exchanging the gases. So yesterday we have seen about the structure of alveoli. So the alveoli is about the one cell thickness, and surrounding the alveoli we observe the blood capillary. So the walls of the blood capillary is also very thin, and these blood capillary contains the deoxygenated blood. That deoxygenated blood will be dark red in color, and it will be having more amount of the carbon dioxide. So when we see inside the alveoli, we observe more oxygen and less carbon dioxide, whereas in the blood capillary, we observe more carbon dioxide and less oxygen. So naturally, the oxygen diffuses from alveoli to blood, and when oxygen diffuses to blood capillary, the blood changes into bright red color. So these bright red color returns to the heart, from where it will be pumped to the body parts, which will be helpful to carry out the process of respiration. So in this way, the alveoli is the structural and functional unit of the respiratory system, which will be helpful to carry out the process of respiration. So next, continue today's topic. We'll be seeing, yesterday we have seen about the cellular respiration. So cellular respiration, it refers to a pathway where the chemical bonds in the glucose molecule are broken down to release the energy. So it is the most important life process in our respiration, because as it is providing the energy which will be helpful to carry out our body functions normally. So we observe two types of the respirations in the living organisms, that is aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. When we see the aerobic respiration, it occurs in the presence of oxygen, and the aerobic respiration occurs in the cytoplasm and mitochondria. So anyhow, you learned the structure of animal cell in 9th class. Let's recollect that points. Here, the animal cells are covered with the cell membrane, and inside the animal cell, we see a fluid called cytoplasm. So the cytoplasm, inside the cytoplasm, we observe the glucose. So which plays an important role in the respiration. And in the cytoplasm, we observe the another important cell organelle, that is the mitochondria. So here, the respiration process will be occurred, that is the aerobic respiration process will be occurred in two steps. That is, in the first step, it occurs in cytoplasm, and the glucose is oxidized into pyruvic acid in respiration. So then it will be continued in the mitochondria. So as the energy is produced in the mitochondria, we call the mitochondria as the powerhouses of the cell. So let's see this in a form of equation. That is, glucose, it gets oxidized in the cytoplasm to convert into two molecules of pyruvic acid. This is the common step of respiration that we'll be observing both in aerobic and anaerobic respiration. If pyruvic acid molecule gets the oxygen, it undergoes the aerobic respiration to convert into carbon dioxide, water and energy. So the first step of glycolysis will be occurred in cytoplasm, and the second step in the respiration will be occurred in the mitochondria. So the energy will be produced in the mitochondria, hence the mitochondria, it is called powerhouses of the cell. So once again we will recollect what are the parts present in the mitochondria. So here the mitochondria, it consists of outer compartment and inner compartment. So the outer compartment will be very smooth, whereas the inner compartment have the several folds called the cristae. Here the glucose, after oxidizing into pyruvic acid, it comes to the matrix of the mitochondria. Here the pyruvic acid molecule will be burnt into the carbon dioxide, water and energy. So as the energy is produced in the mitochondria, we call the mitochondria as the powerhouses of the cell. So the energy will be stored in the mitochondria in the form of ATP. So during the process of aerobic respiration, large amount of the energy will be produced. So that is, large amount of ATP molecules will be produced during the aerobic respiration. When we go for the anaerobic respiration, the pyruvic acid, if it does not get the oxygen, it undergoes the process of anaerobic respiration. Here, it converts into lactic acid, carbon dioxide and energy. When compared to the aerobic respiration, the anaerobic respiration produces less energy. So anaerobic respiration we'll see in the bacteria, and also we see in our muscles when aerobic respiration fails to produce the energy. So that time the muscles undergo the process of anaerobic respiration. So next in the anaerobic respiration we will also observe the fermentation process. So in the fermentation process the pyruvic acid will be converted into ethyl alcohol or ethanol. So here it converts into ethanol, carbon dioxide. Along with that, energy also will be liberated. So that process it is called the fermentation process. Here also, when compared to the anaerobic respiration, the energy release is very less. So in this way, the different types of respiration we observe in the living organisms. Let's see in detail about anaerobic respiration now. So here the respiration, if it occurs in the absence of oxygen, then we call it as anaerobic respiration. Here during the anaerobic respiration, less amount of the energy will be liberated and we observe the formation of lactic acid. Anaerobic respiration occurs in the bacteria and also it also occurs in our muscle cells. So whenever aerobic respiration fails to produce the energy, so that time in the muscle cells it undergoes the process of anaerobic respiration and energy, and along with that lactic acid accumulation occurs in the muscle cells. So these anaerobic respiration, how it occurs in our muscle cells, let's see. So before starting any running race, here generally you children will pant and you take more amount of the breathing to get a more amount of the energy so that you can run fast. But a trained athlete will not breathe until he completes his goal. So that will be getting only by training. So that if he don't take the breathing, he will be getting more amount of the energy and he completes his goal within the time. So we'll be taking how the anaerobic respiration occurs by pedaling the stationary bicycle. So when we start at the pedaling the stationary bicycle, at starting we observe aerobic respiration in our leg muscles. So here as it undergoes the process of aerobic respiration at the starting, he will be getting more energy and he pedals the bicycle fast. But as the pedaling continues, a stage will be coming in the muscle cells. Here the oxygen will be depth. So that is nothing but sufficient amount of the oxygen will not be supplied to the muscle cells. That time the leg muscles will undergo the process of anaerobic respiration. After some time he observes pain in the muscles. The pain in the muscles is got because of the accumulation of lactic acid. So that's what we call it as muscle fatigue. So after pedaling, if you take sufficient amount of the rest, the lactic acid accumulation will be dissolved by taking the oxygen. So that is nothing but after vigorous exercises or when we climb more steps, we observe the pain in muscles because of the anaerobic respiration occurs and because of the formation of lactic acid formation, we observe the pain in the muscles, and that can be get back by taking more amount of the oxygen and rest, so that the oxygen dissolves the lactic acid and will be getting recovered soon. So now let's see the anaerobic respiration experiment. To carry out the anaerobic respiration experiment, we need a thermos flask. The thermos flask is taken and we'll be taking one thermometer and we'll be taking one U-shaped tube to carry out the process of anaerobic respiration. And when we see how the anaerobic respiration occurs, so here the glucose molecule will be burning in the absence of oxygen, and the yeast cells will carry out the process of anaerobic respiration, and the glucose will be converted into ethanol along with production of carbon dioxide, heat and energy. Less amount of the energy will be liberated during the process of anaerobic respiration. So let's start the anaerobic respiration experiment, and we have seen what are the requirements we need for the anaerobic respiration. Here we will be taking a thermos flask, thermometer, and we will be taking the U-shaped tube. So here we will be taking a glucose solution in thermos flask. So glucose solution is taken in the thermos flask. So and here one important thing you have to take is there should be no oxygen in the glucose solution. In order to remove the oxygen from the glucose solution, we have to heat the glucose solution and cool the glucose solution. And if you have any doubt that oxygen is present in the glucose solution, so you have to add a Jonas green or Dicing green solution is added to the glucose solution, so that no oxygen will be present in the thermos flask. Then it is covered with a layer of paraffin wax. Before you are keeping the paraffin wax, carefully insert thermometer into the thermo flask, and U-shaped tube is also inserted into the thermo flask. Then cover this with the paraffin wax so that no air will be entered into the glucose solution. So our main aim, there should not be no oxygen in the glucose solution. So for that we have heated and cooled, and second step we have added Jonas green solution. This Jonas green solution turns the glucose solution into pink color, so that it clearly indicates that the glucose solution doesn't have any oxygen. So leave it for some time. After some time, when we observe, there will be a rise in the temperature in the thermometer, that it clearly indicates the heat is liberated during the process of anaerobic respiration. And this U-shaped tube is kept in the test tube filled with the lime water. So anyhow, you know that the lime water turns milky because of the carbon dioxide, and during the anaerobic respiration, the carbon dioxide which is released from the thermos flask changes the lime water into milky white. So from this it is clear that during the anaerobic respiration, yeast cells present in the glucose solution converts into carbon dioxide, ethanol, heat, and energy also will be liberated. So here the yeast cells plays an important role for converting the glucose into ethanol. So the same process will be observed in the preparation of alcoholic beverages, and here we can separate the alcohol from the glucose solution and yeast by the process of fractional distillation. So that will be carried out in the industries. So here the alcohol can be produced, and also you can separate the alcohol from the sugar solution, and yeast also can be removed by the fractional distillation. So from this it is clear that during the anaerobic respiration, here the yeast cells plays an important role for converting the glucose into ethanol. So fermentation is another type of anaerobic respiration, what it will be useful in our daily life. So we prepare idli dosa batter and we will be preparing the cakes by the fermentation process. So here a characteristic smell will be produced during the fermentation process and by the production of ethanol. So ethanol produces a characteristic smell. So the fermentation process is also carried out in preparing the beer and wine, that is in the beverage industry. Fermentation plays a major role. Yeast will be helpful for converting any glucose solution into ethanol, carbon dioxide and water. And by fractional distillation, we will be separating the ethanol from the glucose solution. So these are the uses of the fermentation. Next, let's see the process of combustion. So anyhow, at the introduction of this lesson, we have seen Lavoisier's experiment. When we see the Lavoisier's experiment, he told that respiration is a combustion process. So before going to the experiment of the combustion, so let's see the combustion process in our daily life, or what we'll be doing by burning the paper. If you burn the paper is nothing but the cellulose, a type of glucose. When you burn the paper, here the paper turns into black and it also releases the carbon dioxide. Here the glucose molecule will be changed into carbon dioxide, and we will be observing droplets of water below the paper, and along with that we observe the energy release. And when we observe in the respiration also, the glucose molecule, when we observe the respiration process also, the glucose molecule will burn in the presence of oxygen, liberates carbon dioxide, water and energy. So from this he told that both the respiration and combustion is same. And the same was told by Robinson, but along with the liberation of energy, the body also gets heated during the process of respiration. That is, body heat is because of the respiration. And Lavoisier, he also told that the oxygen not only uses carbon and it also uses the hydrogen for the liberation of the energy. So from these two scientists, it was clear that combustion and respiration is similar. But even though the starting material and ending material is same in respiration and combustion, we observe a large amount of the differences between the respiration and combustion. Let's see the difference between respiration and combustion. So when we see the differences between the respiration and combustion, so respiration process, it takes place at the body temperature. So let's see the differences between respiration and combustion. So when we see the difference between respiration and combustion, in combustion process, heat is to be applied externally to burn the sugar molecules. Here, the energy will be released at once. Energy will be released at once, whereas it stops, the combustion process stops when water is added. Water is added. So here, when we see the respiration process, no heat is to be applied. It takes place at the body temperature. And energy is released slowly. Stepwise we observe the release of the ATP molecules in the respiration. And each and every steps need the water. So these are the major differences between the respiration and combustion. From that it is clear that there is a lot of amount of the differences between the respiration and combustion, and both are not same. Now let's see the experiment that is conducted in the laboratory to show the combustion process. So to carry out the process of combustion experiment, we need a test tube, and we need a delivery tube and a spirit lamp, and we'll be taking a wash bottle. In the wash bottle, we'll be taking the lime water. So here, this is what is the aim of the experiment is the glucose molecule burns, liberates energy. Along with that, it also liberates the carbon dioxide. That carbon dioxide turns lime water milky. So here, we'll be taking a test tube. Inside the test tube, we'll take the glucose solution. Or we can take a powdered glucose is taken in a test tube, and it is heated with the spirit lamp. When the spirit lamp heats the glucose molecules, the glucose first it melts, catches fires, and it burns, releases the large amount of the energy. So along with that, it also produces a black vapors, that is this black gas enters into the delivery tube. So then it comes to the lime water, and within seconds the lime water changes into milky. So from this it is clear that by the combustion of the sugar we observe the carbon dioxide is released. So it is clear that when the lime water changes into milky, carbon dioxide is evolved during the glucose combustion. We will see the most important topic, that is evolution in gaseous exchange system. Here we will be seeing how the respiration will be occurred from lower organisms to we. So here generally organisms live in water. The organisms which live in water, they are called aquatic animals, and the animals which live on the land, they are called terrestrial animals. So here we observe different types of respiratory organs in aquatic animals and terrestrial animals. They have different types of respiratory organs. It depends upon the body size. They have different types of respiratory organs because of the presence of body size, water availability, and type of terrestrial habitat. So based on these, they have different respiratory organs. So body size, water availability, and the place where it lives in the soil. So depending upon that, they have different respiratory organs. So now let's see what are the different respiratory organs from lower organisms to higher animals. So when we see in the lower organisms, that is amoeba, planaria, hydra, in these animals we observe the respiration will be occurred through a simple process called diffusion. Here, all the body surface will be exposed to the environment. When we take the amoeba, a single-celled animal will have the respiration process will be occurred by the process of diffusion. The oxygen enters into the cell in the same way carbon dioxide goes out of the cell. Next, when we go for the higher animals, that is insects, grasshoppers and even cockroach, they will have the respiratory organs in them is trachea. When we see the abdomen of the cockroach have several small tubes called trachea, which will be supplied to each and every cell. So the sides of these trachea will be opened out through a small holes called spiracles. These spiracles leads into a small tube called trachea. These trachea, it is broken down into a small branches called tracheoles. These tracheoles will take the air from outside to inside the body. So from this atmospheric air, the oxygen enters into the spiracles. From spiracles it goes to the trachea, trachea to tracheoles, tracheoles to cells in the body. How the air enters, in the same way the carbon dioxide diffuses out of the body. So in this way the respiration occurs in insects by tracheal tubes. Next, when we see the respiration in the fishes. So the fishes is aquatic animals. You might have observed the fish. So when we observe the fish, at the sides we observe the flap-like structure called operculum. So your mother might have seen the operculum, opening the operculum. When operculum is opened, we observe the gill slits. If gill slits are fresh and red, it will be a good variety of the fish, or good, the fish is good. So now let's see how the respiration occurs in the fish. So that is, it is aquatic animal. The respiration through the gills, it's called branchial respiration. Respiration through the gills is called branchial respiration. You might have seen in the aquarium, the fish frequently opens and closes the mouth. When fish opens the mouth, the water enters into the mouth to the oral cavity. From the oral cavity, it goes to the pharynx. It goes to the pharynx. From the pharynx, a pore is present called internal branchial aperture. Internal branchial aperture. So from the internal branchial aperture, the water will be bathed on the gills where the exchange of gases occurs, and the outgoing water will be sent out through external branchial aperture. So once again, we will see how the process of respiration occurs in the fishes. The fish opens its mouth so that the oral cavity gets lowered. The water will be entered into the internal branchial aperture. From internal branchial aperture, the water will be bathed over the gills. When it is bathing over the gills, the water having the oxygen enters into the gills, and the gills that is having the carbon dioxide goes to the water, and outgoing water will be sent out to the external branchial aperture. So the carbon dioxide diffuses out of the body. So in this way, the respiration in the fishes will be occurred with the help of gills, and we'll be calling it as a branchial respiration. Next, when we see in the amphibians like frog, salamander, the respiration occurs through the skin. We'll be calling it as cutaneous respiration. So the respiration through the skin will also observe in the earthworm. But when we see in the amphibians, amphi means both, bien means animal. So the animal which can live both on the land and water, it is called amphibian. So when it is on the land, it respires with the help of lungs. But when it is in the water, it respires through the skin. So we observe two organs for the respiration in the frog. When it is in the water, it respires through the skin. When it is on the land, it respires through the lungs. If the respiration occurs through the lungs, we know that it is called pulmonary respiration. So these pulmonary respiration, it will be carried out in next higher group of the animals like reptiles. So reptiles are nothing but the lizards. Reptiles, hares and mammals. Hares is nothing but the birds. So if the respiration occurs through the lungs, we will be calling it as a pulmonary respiration that we will be observing in all higher group of the animals, that is reptiles, hares and mammals. If the respiration occurs through the lungs, we will be calling it as a pulmonary respiration. So in this way, we will be observing a different respiratory organs different respiratory organs from amoeba to the higher group of the animals. So that is, when we see in the amoeba, a simple diffusion will be occur. When we see in the insects, trachea will be helpful for exchange of gases. When we see in the fishes, we observe the pulmonary respiration, the respiration occurring through the gills. When we see in the earthworm, the respiration occurs through the skin. So that respiration will be calling it as cutaneous respiration. Whereas when we see in the frog, we observe two organs. When it is in the land, in the water, it respires through the skin. When it is on the land, it will be respiring with the help of lungs. In our higher group of animals, we observe the pulmonary respiration. Respiration through the lungs is called pulmonary respiration. So reptiles, aves and mammals, we observe the pulmonary respiration.